We took their traffic to their website and dropped it by 80%. They go, oh my God, John, that's terrible. Did you lose a client? Nope, they love us to death. Why? Because that other 80% was entirely the wrong customer. They trusted us, it worked.
I want us to know our target audience, the specific language that we're using, as if they are the names of our children.
Laser focused.
AI's got to know enough about you and about your business, and it's got to know who you like and who you don't like working with.
You can always have AI audit, look through, and have the load up your marketing pieces. Have it look at your website and say, is this consistent? Am I attracting the wrong type of clientele? Have it work with you to make judgment calls as to what you need to adjust.
This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
Hey guys, it is Brad here with another episode of AI Marketing Experts. I'm here with these smiling faces and brainiacs, and we just love to jam out and talk about everything that is not only happening, but what's moving the needle for businesses and marketers in the AI world. By all means, if you are listening to us on a podcast channel or YouTube, like us, share us, tell people about us, and we will do our best to bring value every single time. So today we are going to jump right in, and we're gonna unpack some things about ICP. And if you don't know what that is, we are going to tell you what that is as well. It's not a band.
It is a band. I am Violent J. I'll be Violent J. So.
It could be a band, but it's really something we're going to dig into about what is ideal customer profile. So John has already opened up the can of worms that he is ready to jump in and enunciate and talk about this subject. So John, why don't you jump right in and kick us off?
All right. So, so we were chatting about this earlier before we jumped on, because as a group here, we like the AI marketing experts, as Laura just reminded us, we're almost coming up to a year of doing these podcasts. We're pretty close to that. And in that time, like obviously we've kind of developed who we are, who you are as an audience, and kind of trying to steer, hey, is what we're talking about and the content that we're talking about fit for you? And then we're going, well, who actually are you? And we know who reaches out in the comments to us, and we know who we speak to best. And I was having this exact conversation with the coaching program I do for home services and carpet cleaners, the private coaching that we do. And I was doing the event yesterday, and we were talking about the whole idea that if you speak to everybody, like I just want more money, John. Well, if you try and speak to everybody, you get nobody. So I was teaching them how to use a master prompt, and I'm sure we'll go a little bit deeper into that. We've talked about it a whole bunch of times, but if you don't dial in who your ideal customer profile is, who you'd really love to work with and only work with, the type of person, where they live, how they dress, what they think about, what keeps them awake at night, what their challenges and struggles are that they know, what's coming on the horizon that maybe we know that you don't know yet, that we're bringing to you, and why you watch this show. That whole concept is like every business needs to know who their ideal customer is, why they chose that. AI can make this so much easier to figure out than years and years ago of having to try and download data and go find stuff and buy reports. And 6 months later, you might go, well, maybe I think I've got it figured out. No, it's like it's a cup of coffee in an afternoon. And you could really have that really good conversation and figure out who your ICP is. And then all of your marketing, we as the AI marketing experts helping you understand this, all your marketing can aim towards that preferred clientele as you shift your markets. How's that for an intro?
I like it. Aiming with Amy.
There we go.
We were even talking about before we started recording that a tiny shift, even from as agency owners, if we relate, or like if a YouTube video says small business owner, do we resonate with that, or do we look for YouTube videos that speak to agency owners, even though agency owners are small business owners, So little shifts like that, I mean, they seem little, but they're actually very important. Like I mentioned, I want us to know our target audience, the specific language that we're using, as if they are the names of our children. Like that's how ingrained in your brain your target audience should be.
Laser focused.
Absolutely.
Laser focused. Yes.
And I know with this group, obviously, when we're learning about AI and seeing what's new, what's rolling out, it is easy for us to have so many subjects that we want to cover per episode. And we want to bring at it for different things. And having our conversation today based on feedback and everything of questions that people are asking about the master prompts, how can they get that tuned in more? That kind of prompted our conversation here today of making sure that our topics, the level of discussion that we bring, do they actually move the listeners and our viewers forward? Or is it just more noise in the AI world? I mean, we pride ourselves on sticking to that strong foundation and providing nuggets, tips, tricks that you can move forward on when you start, so you don't have to be seeing and hearing all the noise. So I think that is the ICP is definitely a valuable place for all business owners to start.
That's
And
exactly
you mentioned, Laura, the question that was specific round that someone sent in, it was still sounding a little bit generic, the content from their master prompt. And it was,
right.
we found out that it was because of the ICP.
Yes, their ICP was missing. And so having that conversation with AI, just again, use your phone, click your favorite AI, the large language model that you want, click that and start talking and saying, this is what you've liked about the clients that you've worked with. This is what may have projects longer than what's needed. And just go through and you'll find AI will ask you questions, and then it will lead you to a well-defined ICP. So I think that is very beneficial.
And a couple of other ideas, so again, in AI, what would we do? Think about this, Chris, for example, using one of the dashboards or data center, you have when you transcripts going over into a spreadsheet or into a resource vault or whatever, right? So and if you had phone conversations that you could go back to, like transcripts, if you had difficult client conversations, if you could, context is everything in AI anyways, if you could load in, if you can kind of start thinking through the type of context that you could give it, you could start a conversation and say, hey, ask me some leading questions, let's figure this out. And by all means, you'll work your way down the rabbit hole, and just with good questions and good prompting and all that kind of stuff, you could get to a really good conversation about an ICP or a couple of ICPs that are, maybe a residential and a commercial, depending on the type of business you're in, or, a lower tier clientele if you're an agency, and the higher tier clientele, and the different ICPs inside of those, right? There's ways around that. But if you started off with sort of client data, customer data that you currently have, conversations that you currently have, complaints that you currently have, and say, hey, based on all of this, let's have a conversation about who we work best with, and who loves us more and who loves us less in our clientele. And is there some things we could flesh out about that? It's no different than Google Analytics or a Google ad or a Facebook ad is trying to dial in who the ideal customer is. And I tell our clients this all the time. It's it might be a certain area of town. If you get if you feed it the right data, you get ads come in, somebody clicks on it, you tell Google, by the way, this is the ad ID of the person who clicked on it and called us. Oh, by the way, this is the ad ID of the person who booked. If you could, the more data you can feed back, Google and Facebook go, oh, now I know who those are. And I always make the joke, they could just be Dave Matthews fans. You could find out that your clothing store or your carpet cleaning company or whatever is just really attractive to Dave Matthews fans. We wouldn't know that. But it could, it's just my goofy way of saying it, but it could be something so obscure you'd never even know. AI can help you figure out, based on your data, what is that? What are some of these nuances of this ICP? Then you can break down all your marketing to target it.
It is a little goofy, John, but still relevant.
Thanks.
Well, I was digging over here because I know that, typically we would start with personas. And of course, that is who your decision makers are, who you want to ideally talk to, what's their language, of the problems. But that's the thing that is, as John said, it could be as simple as this side of town. But when you might be in a different type of business, you may need to look at their psychographics. You might want to you definitely want to know their behavior. You want to know about their decision making. So if you think of the successful projects you've had in the past as that small business owner, when was the light bulb clicked? What were you saying? What questions were you answering? What problems were you solving that got them to where they're now your ideal client? So if you kind of think about those desires, beliefs, those identity features, behaviors, it really does help you with the language. So I think it was Jen that said earlier that you are speaking directly to them. I know John kind of mentioned you don't want to be speaking to a forest. You want to be speaking to the birch tree within that forest. So that language, the way, if you see the questions they are asking online and you are going to be able to provide that solution for their problem, if you ask it right back to them, it makes a huge difference. And again, that's the items that make your master prompt stronger and keeps you from sounding generic while you're using AI. I know, Chris, you've done a lot of training with the agents and, definitely the leveled up with everything that you've been speaking about on episodes. What all goes into training those so it doesn't come off generic?
So, yeah, and it kind of comes back to a lot of things, that we've already talked about. And if you followed us for any length of time, you've heard us talk about the foundational pieces that you need in any kind of AI platform. We've talked about it here. Your foundations are basically your master prompt, your document that says everything about you, what you believe, who you work with, and all that kind of stuff, right? But when you're trying to dial in your ideal customer, right, you've got to really think about that, because it's not just who works well with you, but who do you want to work with, right? And when I sat down to try to figure that out for my agency, because for the longest time, my agency was a generalist agency, meaning that everybody was our target audience, right? And it wasn't until I met, with Josh Nelson, and he's like, well, what, who you have to choose a niche, right? And that's because the riches are in the niches, right? Quote unquote, kind of a thing, right? But it was very true. And there was tons of reasoning for that for us. And the biggest one of all was that we weren't reinventing the wheel on every single customer, right? Well, if you think about that same idea and through the lens of, let's say, a roofing company owner who we work with, it's the same thing. You've got someone that you have in mind that is your ideal project, whether that's the $5 million home sitting in the best neighborhood that you're going to make a $60,000 check on 1 day's worth of work on replacing a roof, right? Mm. I mean, that's kind of who we want to put through our lens. Now, the question then becomes, and tying this all back together with us, right, and in our podcast here, is how do you do that with AI? Well, it starts with the foundational pieces, right? AI's got to know enough about you and about your business and so forth. And it's got to know who you like and who you don't like working with, right? Because we all have those too, who we do not like working with, right? So I'll share here what I literally just did, because I was curious what would happen, okay? And me, I like showing off what we're doing with AI, because it shows you guys how to actually do these things, okay? So, me with Claude, right? I right now love Claude, and I'm in just the straight up regular Claude, but I'm in a project, right? And projects are super, super important, because you can have all of your information that you constantly feed to it. You can have instructions for that project, which I do for us. So I've got the AI Marketing Experts podcast here. And I was just curious, if I gave it no information other than what's in this project folder, what would happen, right? So I said, are you aware of the Amy ideal customer profile? Nope. And these are the things that it needs. And it says over here, want me to draft a working ICP based on what I know so far, and you sharpen it from there. I said, yes, go ahead. Right. And so I was sitting in the background as we're all talking about this, took a couple of minutes, and it again knows my businesses. It knows all about this, podcast here, our show. It knows who's in the show. It knows all sorts of information about this. And I've worked inside of this project before on all sorts of, things. So it knows a lot about this, about us. So anyways, it's going through here. It's 6 questions I need you to answer to lock this in. But here's essentially what it even came up with zero information, right? And I think it's actually not too bad. Small business owner or solo small team marketing lead, right? Is our firmographics, revenue 500K to 10 million, which is pretty broad, right? For small businesses. Team size 1 to 25 employees, vertical lean, service-based, home services, healthcare, professional services, whoever, right? This is still very, very broad right here. And I think that over time, the 5 of us can definitely tighten this up. Okay. But the point what I'm trying to make here is that this is a great starting point, right? This took literally a couple of minutes in the background. I can sit here and I could further fine tune this and answer all of these, and it will help work with me and fine tune that document so that I can take that document to my team, right? Which is y'all, on this part, but, and we can discuss it, and determine, yes, this is our ICP, or no, this isn't, is way off, right? And I lean more towards if it's way off, then it's probably because as my dad, he was a programmer, he would always say garbage in is garbage out, right? So, or garbage in equals garbage out. And it's the same thing here with anything that we work with in the AI world. So make sure it knows enough information about you before you go down this path. Feed it as much as you possibly can. Okay.
That's brilliant. And I think because it has some context, as you mentioned, so it started in a place, it has something, so it got closer than it would have with just a general stab at, oh gosh, no. And then, go down, answer the questions. You could even have it like if anybody has filled out any of those surveys on Instagram, for example, or whatever, wherever you get them, is like, I get right now, I'm getting the Tai Chi from a chair. I don't know if it's my age, my hair turned gray, but everywhere I go now, apparently I should be doing Tai Chi from a chair because it's like every day, 10 times a day. But if you actually click on it, like after the 50th time you see it, go, okay, what is this? It's a survey. And so, I mean, it asks a bunch of questions, and it's leading you to, and it's trying to dial in how to sell you better. It's trying to dial in, like we are marketers, we know what it's trying to do. Chris could take this with Claude right now and say, hey, now as he gets a little bit closer, now I want to pull the rest of the Amy team, the rest of us, and create a survey for this. So like one question at a time, deep psychometric survey that Brad and Jen and John and Laura can fill out, that would ask very, very specific leading questions to have as a group dial in and create, an ICP matrix that becomes a conversation for a next board meeting, as an example. So think of your own company if you did this work and then had it create something that you could send them, create something that you could print out. Now you bring team members like carpet cleaners, like get your technicians to fill it out. All like have AI help you create a list of questions instead of spitballing it with the dudes around the truck as they're loading up to go get urine out of carpets tomorrow morning. Give them a bit of homework and hey, fill this out for me by the weekend, bring it back, and I'll give you like a $10 Starbucks gift card or something like that. Right? Now you're actually using AI. Put that back in. Here's what my team says. Okay, off you go. And now you're being an AI-driven leader in your company.
So I have to ask, what in the world would you do with a $10 Starbucks gift card? Because that's only going to get you a half a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you can put sprinkles on top of whatever you bought.
20 years ago, when my daughters were young, and my wife and daughters would go to Starbucks, I'd say, "You mean you're going to Costa Latte?" Oh, I get it.
Okay, Dunkin' Donuts, a $10 Dunkin' Donuts. Right. I'm Canadian. I was going to say Tim Hortons, and I had to adjust because unless you're just in Buffalo or along the border, you don't even know what I just said. So
we have 2 in our town. We're good.
No way. Hold on.
I just want to point out.
Go ahead.
Yes,
this is hilarious. This cracks me up because I 100% identify with this right here. Allergic to AI bros.
AI bros. Yeah.
Well, that ties into what I was going to say of what Chris mentioned is you can help determine who you don't want to work with.
Yes.
Because there's always variables, and like maybe startups is not your, maybe that's not part of your ICP.
Yeah.
It might be. I mean, it's not to say it's bad. Everybody starts somewhere, but sometimes those could be, as we call, a PITA. Everybody knows what a PITA is, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
Dan Kennedy used to talk about that, and we did that when I ran my cleaning businesses. Is like, so there was it's how do you sift, sort it? How do you make your marketing sift, sort, and screen? So all of this goes to where what are you using it for, right? So how do you make your marketing sift, sort, and screen for you so that you don't attract the people you don't want, like you just said, Brad? So there was always the classic story of the barbershop, and then right across the street, the guy started a new, there's another barbershop at $9 haircuts. And this barber put a big banner across the street. We fix $9 haircuts, right? That's how it wasn't that it was like, hey, that was a joke. There wasn't really a lot of damage $9, but it was the people go, I get what that is, right? We did that for our carpet cleaning, like most of our clients, $500, $600, $800, $1,000 average residential job, because they understand how to target those million or those $50,000 roof homes, right? Like the Chris's people are targeting. Those people see marketing. They don't hire the company with a bunch of guys with ripped jeans showing up and spitting off the roof. Like there's a whole different company that shows up and markets differently. So We Fix $99 carpet cleaning is one of a really great ad to run in pay-per-click and in the local marketplace and stuff like that. Not that the person who's hiring the $99 carpet cleaner would ever hire this company. It just sift, sorted, and screened because they picked their ICP.
Right. And if you have that ICP correct, or dialed in, and that's something you can go back quarterly, go back yearly, because we know times change, but that's what you can always kind of lean in and say, wait a minute, are we growing, or where do we need to make those adjustments? And you will see the different ones call you, connect with you, and you'll move forward with them because they heard that you were solving the problems that they were, you have the solutions for the problems that they're trying to solve.
Yeah. You look to buy a cleaning company. We had one of our clients is buying a couple of different cleaning companies out, and we had this conversation. One of the podcasts I've done recently. Very brilliant fellow, and he's a Air Force pilot as well, full time, and he actually runs a business 3-hour flight away from where he actually lives and trains and stuff like that. And so a remote business, and it's like, hey, who do I buy? And it's like, well, you're not buying this company because although it might be a good buy right now, the database isn't your ICP. Like the database isn't you're going to lose 80% of it to transition it into your premium model, right? So although they might be a bigger company, you would be doing that I have the premium and I also have sort of the second tier or the lower tier. Don't realize I own both if you really want to try and run a hedge against yourself, but more so buy the company that might be the boutique, 1 or 2 guys in a truck, small that only clean for the millionaires as well. Buy their business if they're selling and assume their clientele because it's the right ICP. So it makes a whole bunch of decisions easier once you know who that is.
Yes.
Yep.
It brings to mind a salesperson, or it was a company that they said, our salesperson's having our phone ring off the hook. But every time they followed up with those appointments, it had nothing to do with what they were selling. So again, It comes back to the conversation to even having with their team saying, yes, we understand that you're excited about booking appointments for us, but we don't offer those services or don't want to offer those services any longer. So it was just, again, bringing the team together to say, let's have this conversation. Let's make sure that you also are using the proper language to bring the ideal person to the table.
And does your marketing department or your marketing vendor or the people that you work with, your marketing growth partner, have you given them who that is? So that when they're marketing, one of our clients, we took their traffic to their website and dropped it by 80%. They go, oh my God, John, that's terrible. Did you lose a client? Nope. They love us to death. Why? Because that other 80% was entirely the wrong customer targeted by their previous, they had 500 pages on their website and blog posts and everything else to entirely the wrong people. So they were constantly dealing with tire kickers. And we said, nope, we know who your ICP is now. Let's trim it down and build up the right message to the right crowd. And your traffic is going to drop and your quality of client's going to go up. They trusted us. It worked.
Yes. Yes.
Looking at those queries too, like that's a really good way to fine tune your ICP, because as you see things that come in and you know that like, no, that's not who we want to target, then that just gives you more and more context.
Why did they show up? Yeah. Why did they show up? What did we put out there that attracted them? Damn, get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And back to AI, you can always have AI audit, look through, and have the, load up your marketing pieces, have it look at your website and say, is this consistent? Am I attracting the wrong type of clientele? Have it work with you to make judgment calls as to what you need to adjust.
Mm-hmm. Show a picture of your van and your technicians to AI too and go, how are we doing? Yeah.
Yes.
I was working on fine tuning an ICP, kind of actually an entire workup recently. And I was using Claude, of course, and it started to make a few incorrect assumptions. And so, and this is like, we're in conversation about the ICP. It has a lot of information about it already. And still it started to make, a couple of incorrect assumptions. And so I know I've said this before, but it's so important to catch those things early on, as you're working with AI, because if you're just letting it run and not like checking all of the details, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, then you could have a trajectory of like where everything goes after that point that is just not what you had intended. So
great point.
And ask AI. There again, we keep saying that. If you ran into that, I'm sure this is exactly what you did, Jen, is like, okay, where did you go? Where did you get that piece of information from? It was this document. Oh my gosh, I didn't know I gave you that. And like, you can actually get AI to tell you where it got this idea. Is there anything I gave you that led you towards that? And if it says, nope, I just made it up, then you put a new rule in place. Stop making crap up. But for the most part, you're probably the garbage in and garbage out, as Chris said. So, there's probably something there that's a mess.
And also, I'll say that, so in this case, I can't remember what I specifically asked, but it had gotten to be a pretty long conversation. We all know that, conversations can not go terribly long before they start going awry. And so, shame on me. I was probably had it going too long. But it's such a good conversation. I didn't want to stop, but, anyways.
Yes. And hey, one more little tip in there. Anybody jump in on top of me, this is totally fine. But context, Chris and I know this. We have these conversations about like using Claude, Opus versus GLM versus again, techie stuff in the back end. But the context window is a real thing. Context hygiene is a real thing. And if you're in Claude code, it does this thing called compacting every so often, right in the middle of a really good thought process. And it starts right off again, completely crap. So you have to build rules in about compacting and like, it's just a pain in the butt. So ultimately, when you're using AI, another good tip is like ChatGPT at least warns you because it starts getting really slow. It's like everything you do is like, it takes forever because your window is too long. Ask it to create a handoff, like encapsulate this whole thing into a handoff file that I can copy and paste into a new chat and start over again. If you're inside that project, it has the whole project window, but your one chat thread is too long. It can only look up so far, right? Whether that's 200,000 tokens now or 1 million tokens, depending on your model, doesn't really matter. It is reading all of that to answer the next question, all of that to answer the next question. And there's a moment when you want to sort of, hey, give me the most important salient points. Let's refresh and start again. So that's just a tip on using AI.
I was just in chat, but I can tell you that when I'm in Claude code, it is a constant, like, I don't remember if I think I have it set to where every entry, honestly, if not close to it, to where if there is anything meaningful that needs to be added to the memory, then it does that. So I'm not as worried when I'm there, but in chat.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say one thing that, as everybody's talking, came to mind is offerings and programs. Once you have an ICP established, or you're saying, okay, great, I feel confident that I have defined the right audience that we're speaking to, then that's when I would recommend loading your programs. Make sure that those are also what you would appeal to your ideal customer. You want to make sure that we just don't assume that that's the program that would excite them. So that also AI will provide feedback. Does that make sense? Where's the tweaks? Do you need new language? Are you answering questions? Are they searching for something on this part? They ask you answer. Obviously, we refer to that often. Make sure that, or we highly recommend to run your programs through and get those adjusted as well. So one thing kind of builds on the other.
Yeah, and of course, all of your marketing depends on this, right? So you need this as much as you need your master prompt, right? For when you're specifically using something with AI, right? And whether that's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, it doesn't matter. It needs context, and this is the lens that you put it through. So that's just making sure that you understand that this is a very foundational piece, and you need this for everything else to work.
And as expert business owners, don't forget human in the loop. So as you're doing this, talk to those ideal customers, ask them, and those conversations, human to human, are also extremely valuable to make sure that you did not go down a rabbit hole and realize that will not move me in any direction with my business.
Yeah.
Brad, you're kind of being quiet.
Well, I'm at a friend's house, and I think his ice maker is rolling right next to me here at his fancy bar. Can you guys hear the ice maker?
No.
Okay, that's good.
You're isolated.
That's good. No, everything that you guys made sense. I mean, I don't know that I have a huge nugget to share, but man, I mean, I always learn new stuff whenever I'm with you all, as Chris would say. I just continue to learn, and I take it all into perspective because, yeah, we're all smart people, but I love the fact that we can collaborate and learn from each other. You put AI on top of all of that, and then, it's off to the races because
it's just cooking with gasoline. That's AI is like, you just get to move faster. Like Laura talked before we even came on here. Oh my gosh, all the stuff that there's so much I can do. There's so much more I need to do because I can do so much more. Chris is talking about all the things he shipped this week and all this. We just hired a director of AI in the company because I can't keep up. So Gus, welcome aboard. And it's just, so we are the AI marketing experts, as the name of the show is, but the point about that is that it's all use AI to help enhance your ability to market. Because if you don't market, you don't get sales conversations. You don't make sales. Marketing precedes sales. Bad marketing, no sales, right? And good marketing, now you at least have sales conversations. Then there's another moment you can AI the crap out of is how's our sales conversations? How's our scripts? How's our closing processes? How's our follow-up? AI again, right? So the marketing, you get the right ICP, you get the right foundation, you put the right messages out, you talk to the real people about why did you choose us, what would you like to hear more about us, surveying, all of that kind of stuff. Take that, put it back into AI, help refine your ICP, do better marketing, get your sales conversation. Now you're running a business. Now you've built a machine that you can be the arbiter of and the controller of, not the task doer out in the field, because this is the part of what business grows, not how many times you turn the wrench or clean a carpet. That is the thing, the technician side of the business that you want to be running, even in your 80s and 90s from the golf course, if you want to be, and keep the thing or sell it for multiples of EBITDA because you built the machine around all of this, and AI just makes it faster.
I'm going to have to put out my AI Wikipedia or dictionary with arbiter and salient and EBITDA. John's showing off the big words today.
So I'm going to throw something.
I got a couple of coffees in me.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm going to throw something in real quick. When you're talking sales, and this kind of jogged my memory because I literally talked with a friend and a coach and a mentor this week, and he said, take all of your sales conversations that you've had in the past year, throw those into a Claude project, okay, and take all of the pain points, take all of everything from all of those conversations, put those in there, and have it come up with and help refine this ICP, and use that then for your marketing, right? So all of the ads that we're running, he said, just all of the pain points that people are talking about in those sales conversations or just questions that they have, answer those and put them into an ad. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that, and again, we talk about it all the time, but it's just feeding the system, right? Feeding everything that you possibly can into this Claude project, Chat GPT project, whatever your tool is, right? You can do the same thing,
Yeah.
So,
I'll second it. Yeah, have it look at your website and rewrite your website. How would this look if you rewrote it to this ICP you developed from every single one of my conversations, or a landing page, or a free report, or once you have that, it's like, what I built, you guys, I showed this to you quite a while ago, was our 2 avatars. Like, we work with carpet cleaners that just happen to own a business and business owners that just happen to be in the cleaning industry. And they're 2 distinctly different people, right? So our coaching programs, our services, the different levels that we have, we know who our ideal client is. And when I'm marketing these guys, I'm not saying the things that I say to these guys. We literally have separate ads to target, and it pulls in an entirely separate crowd that comes into a totally different channel for a totally different conversation. Because we target two different channels. One, we're helping more hustle helpers. The other one, we're being growth partners. And it's entirely night and day different people in those running the same cleaning businesses.
That is a really good gold nugget, Violent J. I would have to say that that could be the gold nugget of the day. But no, I agree 100%. How you just described it made perfect sense, where it almost seems like they're the same to personas, but they're not. And that's how using tools, AI tools, and feeding it the right information, you get that feedback. You can then dissect. Then you can like you say, whether it's your landing pages, whether it's your social media, whether it's your website, you can then custom tailor it to who are your ideal customers.
So if you guys think any of this is cool in the audience, description down below, AI Marketing Experts Insiders Club, because the Christine on our team that will be creating the after show notes and putting it up into the free community where you can ask questions. These show notes are going to be gold. So you're going to have a lot of little ideas and nuggets and to-dos and action steps and stuff like that. So just a little plug for the Insiders Club that you're going to want to join.
That's exactly right. Well, with that, was there any parting thoughts before we wrap for the week?
Like and subscribe.
That's right. Jen's having a really good hair day, too. If you didn't notice,
Yes.
Laura's not far behind.
wait, what about me?
Well,
You got a ways to go before you're on my and Laura's level.
that's right.
Even Brad, he's got his there.
It's going to be a good
John's chasing us too.
Yeah, we're trying.
That's right. Well, guys, it's always fun. We always have a good time. And hopefully it's informative and helpful for those that watch us, listen to us. Like we mentioned, share it with other people. There's a lot of people out there that need help when it comes to what they can do with AI, how to leverage it, how to make it work for you. So, like always, we're excited to be a part of this. We're coming up on 10, 11 months now. So, we're going to do a wrap for the AI marketing experts for another week.